Are traditional business structures becoming obsolete in the age of AI? Can companies thrive with smaller core teams and outsourced operations? How are businesses navigating the balance between automation and people? When it comes to the workplace, has AI already changed everything?
This is Digital Ritual. Welcome.
Welcome back to Digital Ritual. Today's episode is going to be a bit different. We're shaking things up by diving into the digital future with a fresh perspective. And we've got some special guests from In All Media joining us. Paul, want to give us a sneak peek?
Sure, Lauren. This week, we're handing the studio over to the C-levels from In All Media to share their take on the current technological landscape, which is, let's just say, a bit confusing. Adrián Sicilia, Jessica Janza, and Gabriel Spitz are here to help us make sense of this rapidly changing environment.
Let's sit back and enjoy the conversation. We're Lauren Johnson.
And Paul Chase.
Hello, everyone. First off, I'd like to give a big thank you to Lauren and Paul for giving us this space on Digital Ritual. I wanted to have a bit of a chat with my colleagues and co-workers about some of the changes shaking up our industry. I'm here today with Jessica Janza, VP of Operations at In All Media, and Gabriel Spitz, our CBO. All three of us have been guests on the podcast before, but today it's more about having an open discussion among ourselves about how both our company and our way of working are evolving. Welcome back to Digital Ritual, guys.
Thanks. It's good to be back and be part of this conversation. It's very timely, if I might add. We're witnessing big shifts, especially with AI and remote work, and they are redefining how organizations function. It's a topic getting a lot of attention globally, but it's happening so fast that it's important to pause and reflect on it.
Hi, everyone. I'd also like to say hi to everyone listening. It's exciting to be able to reflect in this setting. We always talk about these things, but it feels different when it's done like this, don't you think?
Absolutely. And speaking of reflection, let me throw something at you both to get us started. Have you heard about the concept of solo unicorns or one-person unicorn? Basically, businesses are moving towards having a small core team that focuses solely on the heart of the business, while outsourcing everything else, whether it's admin, finance, marketing, logistics, even tech development. A lot of it's driven by automation and AI taking over jobs that once had to be done in-house, or simply making it easier to delegate complex tasks. This could mean more decentralized, cost-efficient companies, but with a host of new challenges around regulation, taxes, and so on. Is this the direction things are really heading, or is it just hype?
Oh, it's real for sure. We're seeing AI at the center of a fiercely competitive landscape, driving operational changes we couldn't have imagined just a few years ago. Once a large, fully in-house structure was seen as a strength. Automation means even established companies are now questioning what can be outsourced. But while the need for agility is clear, implementing it isn't as simple as flipping a switch. I see this with our clients. They know they need to adapt, but don't always know where to begin. That's where specialized consultancy is more crucial than ever.
Right. And in our case, a lot of our clients are big corporations running on legacy digital systems. As Jess mentioned, they're feeling the pressure to adopt AI, partly because the market demands it, but also because they know they need to stay competitive. However, they're cautious. They've got these long-running products and traditional ways of managing data. They see the potential for AI to transform things, but aren't quite sure how to go about it without disrupting their current operations.
Yeah. It's fascinating that despite being in different areas, we're all noticing how AI has become a massive leverage point. It's not just a trend, it's fundamentally altering how we approach work.
Some people think the market's punishing AI because it hasn't delivered fast enough. They see the potential, but they're frustrated by the slow materialization of real-world applications. I think that's just fear-talking, honestly.
Well, you know how it goes with the hype cycles. At first, everyone gets overly excited and says, this is going to change everything, and maybe it will, but not overnight. It reminds me of the dot-com bubble in 2001. Gabe, you remember that, right?
Oh yeah, feels like a lifetime ago, back when the internet was still prehistoric.
Exactly. People started pouring money into dot-com companies, convinced they were going to wipe out retail and logistics, upend entire industries. But society just wasn't ready for that kind of rapid change. It took years for tech to really start making the impact everyone predicted.
And while I think this time the shift might happen faster, I agree it's not going to be as instant or drastic as some claimed at first.
Right, like when people thought AI would immediately take over industries like call centers. But look at teleperformance, for example. Instead of being wiped out, they adapted by integrating AI into their operations, making them more cost-efficient and effective, especially in areas like training and customer service. It's all about finding ways to work with change, not against it.
That's a great point. And actually, on that note, there's a bill in the US Senate right now to mandate a button on phones that lets you request a human operator instead of a bot. Conversational AI is becoming the default for customer service, but sometimes it just doesn't cut it, does it? The key is balance. Some processes can and should be automated, but not all. And I think the hardest part is figuring out that strategy, how to implement AI without getting lost in the process.
And I think this shift is also changing the vendor-client relationship. There's an emerging opportunity for true partnerships, a term that was thrown around a lot in marketing before. Vendors always wanted to be seen as partners, but clients usually kept them at arm's length, treating them as external providers.
Exactly. And now we're seeing clients realize that outsourcing isn't just a transactional relationship anymore. It's becoming a cultural shift within their organizations. They're starting to look at service providers as integral parts of their operation. This is something that's been growing over time, but it feels like we're at a turning point now, especially in terms of team integration.
Fast forward 5 years, and I think most companies will have outsourced around 2/3 of their operations. At that scale, external vendors won't just be external anymore. They'll be woven into the fabric of how businesses operate.
Yeah, you can't just consider them an external partner when they're handling such a significant chunk of your operations. They'll need to be viewed as collaborators, especially when it comes to innovation and managing people, don't you think, Jess?
Absolutely. Clients are increasingly looking to add expertise that they either can't hire or don't have the capacity to manage internally, and that's why they're turning to partners like us. And this is part of the reason why our community-based approach to knowledge sharing and agile work methodologies is seen as so valuable.
Speaking of agile work, let's talk about ChatGPT for a moment. When it first hit the scene, it looked like a complete game changer, an AI that could hold natural conversations. And while it is revolutionary, it hasn't completely disrupted everything just yet. We're still in the early stages.
It depends on how you use it, I'd say. Some people are still only dabbling with AI in a casual, at-home kind of way, but then you've got professionals using it at full throttle in their day-to-day work. They don't see it as a replacement for their job, but rather as a tool to help them work faster and smarter. But yeah, we're still figuring things out. There's a lot to discover, especially in terms of making AI a real partner in the workflow.
We're definitely in an experimental phase. ChatGPT and tools like it are out there, but they're still pretty isolated. They're not integrated into collaborative workflows yet, which limits their potential. Calling them co-pilots or assistants might be a stretch. They're more like backups than true team members at this point.
That's it. We're at the dawn of digital industrialization. What's missing are solid working methodologies to channel all this potential. For now, it's all pretty experimental.
We're still thinking in terms of this or that, either humans or machines, or both, but with the machine in the background. What we need are processes where AI and humans genuinely collaborate.
It's like AI needs its own Henry Ford, someone who can design a production line around AI-powered processes. That would be a total game changer.
No doubt. What we're seeing is the beginning of a shift from a more artisanal approach to a full industrial revolution in digital processes. And a creative push behind that could remove a lot of the uncertainty we're seeing now.
Plus, there's an issue with economies of scale. These technologies are incredibly expensive, and the big players, your big five, are throwing enormous amounts of money at them without a clear idea of what the return will be. It's creating some anxiety in the financial markets, like, will this turn out to be another metaverse scenario?
It needs to be a collective shift. These changes are happening across the board, and while a lot's still up in the air, I think, in time, we'll all have a better grasp of what we're building here.
Let's wrap up on that note, this sense that we're collectively shaping the future. Big thanks to Lauren and Paul for the space, and of course to both of you for the chat. Maybe we'll make this a regular thing?
It was nice to step out of the usual Zoom grind and have another type of conversation for a change.
Same here. Send my best to Lauren and Paul.
Will do. Bye, everyone.
Wow, what a conversation. A huge thank you to Adrián, Jessica, and Gabriel for sharing such valuable insights.
This kind of dialogue is exactly why we created the podcast, to dig deep into how technology and business are evolving side by side. Thanks again to our guests, and thank you all for tuning in.
See you next episode.
This is a Digital Pilgrims podcast, sponsored by Coderful, the service management platform for remote teams that is transforming the industry. Subscribe and find out more at inallmedia.com. Digital Ritual. The urgent questions.